Alrighty. I'm making this video. Sorry about the mess here. I'll fucking clean it up later. I'm making this video to kind of defend Charlie Kirk's name. He's been getting a lot of shit for something he said about civil rights. And I, as an intelligent black man, am one of the only people who can defend him here. So let's go over a couple things here. I have a PowerPoint. I prepared for this. Why the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. Basically, I'm going to be arguing that he was correct. I'm going to be arguing that Charlie Kirk was actually right. So first of all, let's make a separation between the Civil Rights Act and civil rights. Charlie Kirk has never once said that black people don't deserve rights. And a lot of people with low IQs are like thinking that that's the same exact thing. And a lot of people think that like if there's no Civil Rights Act, then black people don't have civil rights. It's not how it works. The civil rights movement was social reform. The Civil Rights Act has to do with the law, which is a part of the legal reform, which are technically two separate things. Okay, so for example, when the Emancipation Proclamation came out, people still hated blacks. Okay, so there was no social reform, but there was legal reform at the time in 1860 or whatever the fuck. Does that make sense? So now that we have established a separation between the Civil Rights Act and civil rights, I'm going to be arguing why hindsight, the Civil Rights Act is at the least unnecessary. At the time, it maybe it was hard to predict the fucking future, so they didn't know all the shit that happened was going to happen. But I do think he was right. Okay, so the goal of the argument, when he makes a statement like this, when Charlie Kirk says something like the Civil Rights Act was a mistake, he's actually trying to help. And I understand that can be a very abrasive statement initially to kind of adjust. So I'm going to be helping you understand why he said what he said. So, yeah, I already talked about this, Civil Rights versus Civil Rights Act. So let's watch a couple things. So when he makes this argument, one of the things that... Sorry, I did a lot of sneezing in the car earlier. God damn. When he makes this argument, we're fucking what the fuck? Let me talk. We're drawn to the example of Sheetz. If you don't know what Sheetz is and you live on the West Coast, it's essentially Wawa or like what the fuck is going on? Imagine like a gas station convenience store thing. It's basically what it is. It's a gas station convenience store. And Sheetz exists basically exclusively on the East Coast. They got sued by the federal government, the Equal Opportunity and Employment. This better piss me off. I can't fucking speak. Sheetz got sued by the Equal Employment and Opportunity Commission, which is it's like an arm. It's a legislative arm. Not legislative. It's an arm of the federal government. It's part of the federal government, for sure. They deal with, obviously, employment and discrimination in the workplace in terms of like the hiring process. Does that make sense? So Sheetz got sued by the EEOC, again, an arm of the federal government, and obviously they lost. They didn't have a fucking chance. Now, the reason that they got sued is kind of up in the air. There's theories that Joe Biden, because they got sued during the Biden administration, there's a theory that Joe Biden had a photo op where he went to Sheetz, and we're going to watch a little clip of him, where he goes to Sheetz, and it didn't go his way because nobody really gave a fuck that Joe Biden was at the building. That's a theory, and then the theory is kind of, as a result, because, I mean, think about it. They got sued 3 days after the photo op. It was a bad photo op. It's hard to say it's a coincidence. I'm not saying Joe Biden's a bad guy. I am saying he's a little sensitive. But let's take a little peek here. Let's just watch this.
The reasons here are absolutely terrible. But I wanted to go ahead and show you this. This is the really failed photo op where, I mean...
It's not even that bad.
No one really pays any kind of attention except for some of the staff and the reporters who were told ahead of time that this was going to happen. So as you can see, he's got his little dementia shuffle going. He's gonna come over here, and there's kids there. There's not really.
Wait, I think I'm in the same corner as this guy.
Paying any attention to him. They're just kind of like, oh, okay, it's Joe Biden,
Yeah, nobody cares, right? Nobody's like, there's not like 50,000 people that are waiting for Joe Biden to show up.
And there's reporters around every single corner.
Like, it's just awkward. You know what I mean? And so this is the theory. And, I mean, it's hard to say that this is wrong. Because they got sued by the federal government like 3 days after this photo op happened. I mean, if we're using, like, bare minimum common sense, they got sued by the Biden administration. Okay, so basically, this was the lawsuit. This is the lawsuit. This is the base of the lawsuit. Sheetz wasn't hiring criminals, so they got sued and lost. Sounds crazy. I understand that. If you don't believe me, let's listen to a news anchor say the same thing.
So this is up to date, right?
Shut up. Weird. I'm not going to listen to that shit. Okay. Listen to this.
The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is suing Sheetz for racially discriminatory hiring practices. According to the lawsuit, Sheetz has maintained a long-standing practice of screening all job applicants for records of criminal conviction and then denying them employment based on those records. The EEOC says that Sheetz hiring practices disproportionately screened out Black, Native American, Alaska Native, and multiracial applicants, which violates provisions of Title VII.
Guys, you can't make that shit up. Niggers are committing crimes. They're not getting hired by Sheetz. Sheetz gets sued 3 days after the Biden administration photo op and lost. The reason this is important is because this isn't the only instance of something like this happening. This is just the one that hit the news. The CEO got fired for this, by the way, at the time. He either got fired or resigned. I know he doesn't work there anymore. I fucking, off the top of my head, I can't remember. But he's gone, right? Dude, what? Discriminatory hiring practices because they didn't want to hire Black criminals and it's disproportionate. Here's the argument. Here's where the stem connects to real life. So that's just Sheetz, right? Here's how it connects. It's a complex argument. The argument goes like this. We all know that although making up 13% or 6% or whatever, a small percent of the population, Black people are committing 60% of the crimes. There's a bunch of explicable reasons for that. One of them is there's not a lot of Black fathers in the home. There's not a two-parent household, things like this. We can get into that in a different video. What the issue becomes is instead of cracking down on crime, the laws are made looser such that there's more opportunity for crime so that we can keep Black people out of prison so that we can fix the demographical disparity. That doesn't heed well for the future of the fucking country. You have to throw more of them in prison. But the problem is, dumbass Black people will be like, oh, dude, there's more niggas in prison than white people. It's a crazy percentage. So we have to fix something about it. And so they've been leveraging the Civil Rights Act to figure out ways to kind of soften laws and release them. And then you'll have instances, for example, where you have some fucking monkey on a train stabbing a woman to death in Charlotte. That's how this occurs, by the way. And so now, when something like that happens, they'll say, this dangerous Black man killed this woman, but he's a lifelong schizophrenic, but you don't know that, right? It's not important information. He killed her because she was reading his mind. Look it up. Anyways, dangerous Black guy, 17 arrests, 12 arrests, whatever. In and out of the prison system. And instead of, staying in jail, he gets out for whatever fucking reason. But the thing is, if he went to jail, black people would complain that there's too many blacks in jail. If he's not in jail, he gets out and kills a woman. It's like, what is the problem here? The problem is be stricter on crime. Lock up more black people is what I'm saying. Now, that's not what Charlie Kirk's saying. Charlie Kirk is saying fucking with the law to move it around to keep black people out of jail and things like this. That wasn't the intention of civil rights. However, that is the result of it being in place. We don't need it anymore. We don't need to fuck with the law. Social reform is fine. It's like, it's weird. But at the same time, it's hard to say that it should be abolished. It's a very, very difficult and complex argument. It's not black and white. I can tell you that at least. So I'm trying to explain to you his thought process when saying something like that. It's not Charlie Kirk's a racist and he doesn't want black people to have rights. You're a fucking idiot if that's what you originally thought. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that's what you originally thought. Like, you're not dumb if that's what you thought. If you saw the clip, it definitely looks bad. But of course, you have to have the context behind the actual argument. What I've explained to you now is the context. That's why he said it. Now, let's keep going. So the DEI implications. He said another quote as well. You'll see clips of Charlie Kirk saying, "When I see a black person, behind the controls of a plane, I ask, are they qualified?" Here's the thing. To meet these quotas and to not discriminate based off of race, we've had to put a bunch of stupid shit in place like the diversity, equity, and inclusion shit. Basically, we give black people jobs they don't deserve based off of their qualifications, just the color of their skin. And so now these questions are legitimate questions. It's like, are they qualified or are they black? Affirmative action, things like this. When does it get repealed? It's like, at what point is it too much? I'm not an economist. I'd have to look at the economics of black employment and things like that, black income. But it's hard to say that this is a viable solution, to be honest. It's like you can't just throw them in positions that they don't deserve. Now, I don't know the hiring process for being a pilot. That was just an example. But you have to understand the thought process. It's like, this isn't a question people enjoy asking themselves, by the way. This is a question that people ask themselves. They don't see a black person doing some job that requires heavy credentials and enjoy saying, are you qualified? No, it's like DEI is in place to meet quotas. Now, originally, that's not why, that's what they say, is like, they didn't put it in place for quotas, but there are fucking quotas. So it's like, let's not act like that's not the case, right? So if there's quotas for these jobs, to appease DEI, to appease black people that are mad about the disparity in hiring, regardless of apparently criminal backgrounds, by the way, the argument is, how much of this is a result of the Civil Rights Act? I think it's safe to say a fair amount, because they're trying not to impose on Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. That's basically the gist of the argument. So with that, you can make your own conclusions. But that's me trying my best to explain why the Civil Rights Act was a mistake.